looking at above the camera, Albie? Like, what's up there? Like, I'm desperate to know.
I just saying if the food's coming out.
All right. Scallops and oysters weren't enough. He wants the rest of the seafood. Hello and welcome, punters, to what is a very unusual edition of Burning Questions, as Albie's trying to get his head centered on the camera right now. We're going to get a couple of our housekeeping issues out of the way early today. Next week, big announcement. We'll all be wearing, at least Nikkita and I will be wearing, hip pocket workwear because the jackets have arrived at 400 Epsom Road. And don't forget, team, there's 45 plus stores across Australia using national buying power. Hip pocket workwear and safety's locally owned stores have a unique place in the safety workwear, corporate clothing and protective equipment market. From the work site to the office, I don't have any budgie smugglers for you wherever you are. You look like you're on a beach, Albie. Hospitality, health, sports uniforms, corporate wear and embroidery, hip pocket workwear and safety have you covered, and we'll be representing next week. And there's swirling rumours we might have more sponsors on the way. Yeah, you're looking good now, Albie. Now that I've mentioned you a couple of times, welcome to Burning Questions. Where are you?
Just up in the sunny start of Darwin, just relaxing and kicking back.
Why are you in Darwin? Is that because that's the only place you can go? Like, why Darwin?
No, I just got a wedding, so I'm up here for a week, just making the most of it.
And you told us before, we won't say what the first thing you've been doing today is, but you've been eating scallops.
Yeah, and a few oysters as well. So I can't really complain at the moment. It's been pretty good.
Albie's on the aphrodisiacs. How are you, Gregory Sugars, the number one driver in Victoria at the moment? How are you?
Not as good as Albie, but yeah, going okay.
Well, you'll start working at Lara J Farm. You're not up at the top end. And Skeeter, I thought you had a haircut, but all you've done is just change the hair around a little bit just to keep things fresh.
Yeah, that's right. Got to mix things up a little bit, but going well, thanks.
I've got Farmer Wants a Wife in the background too, if you want to catch up. I know you missed last night's episode. There's a lot of drama I've heard too, something about a first kiss. Anyway, we get stuck into the burning questions. There's two for the same race today, but I think it's worthwhile. We'll start with a 888 question for you, Gregory. And I just want you to be honest. Just be honest and transparent. Is 888 back, and will he be driven like he's the best horse in the race on Saturday night at Cranbourne?
Yeah, I think he's pretty close to being back. I wouldn't say he's 100% just yet. I want to see him under race conditions perform at his optimum before I get too confident about that. And second part of that question is, no, being first up and only having one soft trial under his belt, that don't intend to drive him like he is the best horse in the race. We tried that last time round and it didn't quite work for us. So we're going to go into this race with a different plan of attack.
So I've read the article. I think Tim O'Connor had one out talk earlier in the week. You got no explanation for why he just went completely off the boil at the end of that last campaign.
Not really. Like, he travelled over to Tassie and obviously won his heat in Tassie, and everything seemed to be pretty right with the horse after that race. But he obviously performed well and truly below par, and he seemed a bit flat in himself. But yeah, there was no lameness or any real obvious significant issues with him that would explain him going so poorly. So yeah, we just pulled the pin on him and gave him a good break. And at the moment, the horse seems full of beans and really well and healthy. And so hopefully we'll see that translate into a positive performance on Saturday night.
Well, the other two, you other guys can't talk to whether 888's back. Poor old Albie's got attention deficit problems. He's been looking everywhere, pointing at people, ordering. I don't know what he's doing here in Darwin, but is he the best horse in the race? If he produces his best, will he win on Saturday night, Albie?
Oh, I think he's the best horse in the race. Like Greg said, he probably has to drive him a bit different instead of driving like the best horse in the race. Like he drove him like the best horse in Tassie last start and he dropped out. So hopefully he's back to his best. It's not overly a strong free-for-all race considering what he's been racing against previously. If he's 100% right, I think he'd be thereabouts.
Well, we don't know if he's 100% right, but it's crucial information, Skeeter. If he's not going to be driven that way, it makes it even easier for Torrid Saint, and we'll talk about him in a moment. But I think on his best form, he is the best horse in the race. But I struggle to see how he wins if he's not put into it.
He does look to have that class element, does he? And I think that's really key information for punters, that he will be driven a little bit more conservatively this time, being first up. But I still think he may have the class to win and to round them up late. But really looking forward to seeing him come back, and hopefully we can see the best speculation because we know what a nice horse he is at his best.
What are you looking at above the camera, Albie? Like, what's up there? Like, I'm desperate to know.
I just saying if the food's coming out.
All right. Scallops and oysters weren't enough. He wants the rest of the seafood. Okay, Albie, Torrid Saint, same race. Will he get across always fast? And if he does get across always fast, will he keep the front? Because we know he likes to follow a helmet a lot of the time.
I think he's only a 50% chance getting across personally. Always fast gets out just as good as him. So even if Torrid Saint does get across, I think he will be handing up to Bondi lockdown, which he has done in the past. So I'm not 100% confident he will cross always fast. He gets out just as good. So and I think if always fast does hold Torrid Saint, I think he'd be holding the front anyway.
All right. A boy from Bondi lockdown apparently will be the horse you'll be handing out to. All right, Candy Man. Your thoughts on Torrid Saint? Do you think he's got the speed to get across always fast? And if he does get across, will he be holding the front or will be handing out to boy from Bondi lockdown?
I think always fast is as quick as Torrid Saint. So his couple of runs this time in always fast, we haven't seen him been lit up from barrier dispatch, but I think from the good draw and he's fourth up from a break that they'll be obviously very aggressive and full steam ahead. And I'd imagine that he'd be quick enough to hold Torrid Saint out. But having said that, if I'm wrong and Torrid Saint is able to get across, I sort of tend to agree with Albie there. I wouldn't be surprised if he took a sit from boy from Bondi and obviously put his main dangers in always fast, and then of course Malcolm's Rhythm buried back on the fence.
I reckon he will cross, to be honest, and I reckon he'll keep the front. So I'm against the other boys here. I think that he's got that 100-metre speed, I reckon, Torrid Saint to lead. And I wouldn't be handing out to anyone. Glenn Douglas said he wasn't going to hand up to anyone bar Western Sonador last week. There's no Western Sonador here. What do you reckon, Skeeter?
Yeah, I tend to think that Kate Gath will be doing everything that she can to hold the lead on Always Fast. We know what a really good record he has when leading. We haven't been able to see that this preparation. He just hasn't had things go his way. So I think they will be looking to make full use of barrier one. He hasn't seen that barrier for a while, and probably not 100% sure that he will have the speed to hold out for a tank, but I think Kate will definitely be trying, and pretty sure that I'm leaning towards that he will be able to hold the top and there won't be any front for
Albie, when the food arrives, I'd like you to start eating on the camera. That's what I'm hoping for, because you seem hungry for some reason. Tell us, will the weight of numbers land Snooze Svanosio, the fast class trot? He's not the kind of trainer that sets races up and sort of organises tactics to make sure that he wins. But when you've got 4 runners, the first 5 numbers, that's got to be a big advantage.
Yeah, it is a big advantage. But saying that, it's quite an even field. A couple of horses coming back from a break have horse will travels tried very well. So it's not easy pickings for Snooze here. Brownlow Prince was pretty dominant last week at Bendigo, and I think he's the best hope of the 4 runners. But if he finds the front, I think he'd be very hard to beat. But the way we know Snooze operates, so I don't think it'd be an easy task if Brownlow Prince will find the front.
I reckon that Peregrine Phoenix probably leads and then hands up to Brownlow Prince. That's how I saw it anyway, Skeeter. And if Brownlow Prince leads, he's got to be the one to beat for me.
Yeah, I think he's the on-top selection of mine as well, Bon. He was really good last week, as Albie mentioned, and just drops down from that free-for-all level that he has been racing at for so long. And this is a really even race, but from the good draw, I agree. I think Peregrine Phoenix has the speed to cross at the start, and then potentially if there is a bit of pressure from outside, she may be hands up, but I wouldn't be surprised either if they try and lead around Peregrine Phoenix either. But I just think the horses are all going well. He's going to get a nice trip, probably behind the leader, you would think, or absolute worst 3 pegs. So I think given the draws and horses are all going well, it does look his best.
I can tell you one thing, Greg's definitely got the Formers notes on the left-hand side at about a 45-degree angle. What's here, Candyman?
Yeah, look, obviously, Chris is obviously a very talented trainer, and the weight of numbers, I think, is going to play a massive part, particularly the way the barrier draw's fallen here. And his horses always race very true to form, very consistent. And obviously, Cranbourne's a track that, really suits on pace and fence runners, especially in, even sort of grade racing. So I think, it's going to make it very hard for horses like Horse Will Travel, drawn poorly out the back, been around this circuit. So, I think, however the early tactics unfold, I think Snooz's got a massive hand, and my money's on one of his to certainly take out the race.
Albie, thank you for bringing the holiday edition of Burning Questions to us. Is Denis William a serious horse, and can he win on Saturday night? Short course trip. He's got a record of 5 wins from 5 starts over the sprint. He's drawn awkwardly. It's a good race. I'm in love with him. Do you think he's a proper serious horse or not?
I think he's a really nice horse. He still hasn't produced a good performance against the nicer ones yet, but he's going through the easier grades quite nicely at this stage, and it's a step up in grade. I would just like to see what he does from the draw first before I say he's a serious horse.
I have been known to go off on horses, and people get upset because I get too excited about them, but there's something untapped about Denis William. There's a lot of Sankallo about him. He's a bit of an idiot, doesn't really know what he's doing out there, but just so much raw ability. Is the boom a little bit too big at this point from my perspective, or do you think he's a pretty good horse, Greg?
Yeah, look, I kind of agree with what Albie said there, and you raised some very valid points yourself, Javon. He's got massive raw ability, but probably hasn't had the ring craft and experience against top line horses to sort of get too carried away and put him in, a top echelon bracket. But he had a very soft trial win, and then basically his first up win was like a second trial for him. So this is a significant step up in grade for him, and it'll be interesting to see how he handles the challenges that will be thrown at him in his next few runs as he gets through the grades. But certainly has raw ability stamped all over him, and if he can handle that when he's against similar opposition that have similar ability to himself, first few runs will tell us how good he's going to be, I think.
What do you reckon, Skeeter? I just reckon they're going to go berserk here. Yanni and Street Kid, Connor Clark and Shannon O'Sullivan, a couple of pony trot kids going up against each other in the big leagues. They're going to blast out of the gate, let her hair down, Sanday. I think there's going to be a lot of speed, and I reckon he'll get his chance, and I've got him on top.
Well, potentially, yes, he is a nice horse. I'm going to agree with Albie and Greg. He's a nice horse, and he has showed glimpses in the past of being a really good horse. But, I'm just not fully convinced yet, and I think he's still putting it all together. And I probably need to see a few more really good performances before I'm going to label him a proper good horse for one of your terms. But yes, I think the race will probably need to be run to suit him this weekend. There is a few horses in the race that are going well. We'll have the runs on the board already, and it is a jump up in class what he has been racing in his first up run. So look, he isn't without a chance, but he's going to need a lot of things to go Saturday night to win, I think.
I kind of think about buying horses, like shares in horses. So by the time he wins good races, everyone knows he's a good horse. I'm trying to buy him at a nice low price, and I'll sell him when everybody else knows he's a good horse. Skeeter, let's have a look at the Rising Sun quickly. What's going to happen early here? Can Kowalski and Ellis get across? And what does it mean for the race if Krug has to do a lot of work? Will it retake the front? Is Expensive Ego a moral? What's your take on this inaugural running of the Rising Sun at Albion Park on Saturday night?
It's going to be a really interesting one, isn't it? And there's been a great lead up to it. And from all reports, I think there are going to be fireworks early. The crew camp want to hold up. And Kowalski and Ellis, I think, we know he knows how to go forward. And I think that Sophia will be trying to cross with him. So I think they are going to go very, very quick early. And the horses drawn 2 and 3 probably not come out. So I think if Kowalski and Ellis does cross, there could be a few gaps that open up, and Krug might be able to even get off the fence then. So, look, probably going with Krug. I thought his performance a couple of weeks back was just excellent, and from that draw, I think it plays in his favour. But a huge amount of respect for Expensive Ego. I really like that horse, and I think he'll be put into the race, and he's a massive winning chance. There's no doubt about that.
I don't know whether Albie's frozen at the moment, but I'm glad because he's actually, I can now see the top of his shirt. I thought he was probably having on top. So I just saw his face. We might go to you, Greg, while we're waiting for Albie to become a little bit more animated, because at the moment it's more like a portrait, an Archibald Prize portrait of Albie at the moment. Your thoughts on the Rising Sun, mate?
Yeah, I've never seen Albie be this still ever in his life. So, very impressive at the moment. Look, incredibly good field assembled, and it's a great race with great money on offer, and the barrier draw has made it quite interesting. Obviously, never racing against Krug or see him live in the flesh. It's hard to know exactly how good he is off the gate. He's obviously got an extreme amount of ability. But from what I have seen, the races I have seen, I think he will be quick enough to hold up. Obviously, you would expect Soph to sort of push the button early for the first 100 metres to potentially have a look, because her best chance of obviously figuring in the finish would be to find the fence, you would think. But I don't think she'll do anything silly and go too far or anything like that. So for mine, I think it'll be a good run to the first turn, but I reckon Krug will be quick enough to hold up.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think Kowalski and Ellis might get across. He's killing me here. I thought Kowalski and Ellis might get across. New vantage point here. He left us a little bit, and now he's got a massive building in the background. I thought you're in Darwin. I thought you're in Jakarta. Anyway, Albie, what do you think, mate?
I think Sophie will get across quite easily. I think it's a massive task for Kirk to win this race, especially being a 3-year-old, step up in grade. There's a couple of handy performers in it, like Expensive Ego, copy that. So I think it's going to be an exciting race, and I think Expensive Ego will be too good.
I reckon 1 by 3 or 1 by 5 on Kowalski analysis. What's the pole marker's name again?
Krug.
That's it, nailed it. Yes, we're back. All right, best bets for Saturday night, Albie. Who's the moral?
Still hungover.
Yeah, no, honestly, like you'd expect that she will win the race. It's a slightly awkward draw. How will she be driven?
I told Ellen to drive it like Bernie Winkle.
Yeah, well, she knows how to do that. Sit back and should be winning the race. I agree with that. What's your best for Saturday night, Candy Man?
I'm actually going to go against you and your boom horse and Denis William, and I think Yanni is now fourth up from a spell, a short course specialist. Conor Clark has a terrific record on the horse. I think he'll be quick enough to hold the front, and if he's anywhere near his performance when he won the 4-year-old APG consolation at Melton around Cranbourne, they won't catch him. So I'm gonna stick with the Emma Stewart stable, and I think Yanni's the one to beat.
Well, any horse that can beat Jawbreaker like that has to be a superstar. There's no doubt about it. I didn't like the trial of Yanni. I'd be laying him for anything. So I'll take the Candy Man on head-to-head there. What's your best, Skeeter?
Look, the music to my ears that Albie had such confidence, because I thought Still Hungover was the best bet of the night. Was really good last week. Last few runs have all been excellent, and I think it was a very, very winnable race.
Yeah, he's being fed. This is as good as he possibly go. He's being fed off camera. My best of the night is Tango Tara. I think he finds a very easy lead. I think Struve can't be chased off the gate. Van Daan is going to be back in the field. So Tango Tara. But my best haven't been that popular of late. Just quickly, Candyman, before we say au revoir. Sayonara. Lara J. McCarthy by draw, driven off the gate, or goes back?
Should be going back.
I mean, either way, it's going to make life hard, but it's good information to know for the punters. Well done, everyone. Particularly you, Albie. Terrific effort. Top job. Greg Sugar's the #1 driver in Victoria, and Skeeter, I don't know how many more handles you've but keep mixing it up. Good on your team. That's been Burning Questions, sponsored by Hip Pocket Workwear and the Scallops of Darwin. We'll talk to you again next week, next Thursday, and we'll be taking in some more Queensland action at that time as well.